Hi, welcome back to our discussion on changing your world. I'm John Patrick Hickey. In our last video, we were talking about Christians and the arts and how we can not only be a part of expressing our feelings, our faith, and all through the arts, but how we need to be an influence within the arts. Now, in that, I deliberately left out the topic of music. And I did that because I think that there's some very special things we need to look at in regards to music. And that's why I wanted to do this segment specifically on music. Because there's been a lot of debate and concern about Christian music over the last many years. Now, I'm quite familiar with Christian music. I worked in Christian radio for several years in a contemporary Christian music station, and I'm familiar with contemporary Christian music. And one of the concerns that I've had, and I know that many musicians or people who perform in contemporary Christian music have, is the whole idea of it being a separate genre of music. Now, I understand Christian music in the sense of worship music. Now, that is a separate genre of music. And we have gospel music, which is a separate thing unto itself. Wonderful music. I'm quite a fan of gospel music myself. And it is a specific art form. And you can follow gospel music. You can listen to many different artists. There's a particular style that goes along with it. There is, I don't have the time or the resources to go into all the details of Christian music. But when it comes to what is considered contemporary music, there's where you have the rub. Because then you talk about people who, in a sense, cross over. And people who see music as their ministry. Now, I'm not debating that there aren't some artists who do see their music as their ministry, but I know a lot of them don't. They see it as their art. This is what they do. This is the music they perform. And in some ways, they feel like they're forced into a little box to have to perform with certain lyrics, certain styles, to a certain particular audience, in order to fit into what people expect from them. And that's not how it should be. You know, our music is our art, and that is how people should be able to express themselves. There are Christians who are in what would be considered secular music. People who perform in all different types of music, from operas to rock and roll. I mean, you get all different types of music, and people, their faith has a great deal to do with what they perform, how they perform, but it doesn't lock them into this little box. And we have to be careful not to do that to fellow believers. Allow people to express themselves within music. You know, there are people who have other abilities in music, instrumental music, per se. You get into classical music. When you play classical music, people who are involved in orchestras, you know, at one time, the vast majority of great classical music was all music that was committed to the Lord, music that was committed for worship, for church. It was all there to be able to play in order to glorify God. But classical music doesn't have the lyrics, doesn't have the ability to be forced into a box. Frankly, you could play a piece of music and tell someone that it is glory to God in the highest, and they're fine with that. Or you could tell them it's symphony for the devil, and they're fine with that. I mean, because you're not going to be able to tell the difference between the two of them. So understand that with music, express yourself with your true feelings and allow the artist to express themselves as well. If they want to do that very overtly Christian to a Christian audience, that's fine. But if they want to express their music and influence a wider audience than that, that's fine too. I mean, I think that we need to recognize that our influence has to go to all areas. That doesn't compromise. It doesn't mean we're going to use lyrics that are vulgar, or we're going to do things that are compromising our faith. You don't have to do that. Much music doesn't involve that at all. But you have to be able to allow an artist to perform their art. And that's the whole thing with music, with painting, with dance, with anything that people are doing. An artist has to be able to express their art. And they should. Just because you're a believer doesn't mean that you hold that back. Matter of fact, you should not only be able to give it, but you should be able to excel at everything that you do, because you do everything to the glory of God. Now there's other areas of influence that we have to look at as well during this series. And again, as I said, we're only touching on things, and I really would like to expand a great deal, but we'll continue just touching on things. One of the things that are very important, and that is the area of education, and that will be the topic of our next video. For the Growth Center, this is John Patrick Hickey, and I do want to encourage you to always live your purpose and change your